Hey guys, so for today's video I'm going to do this rainbow cat eye design. I originally saw it from, I can't remember if it was Varnell or Vetsy, but one of those two pages or brands did this design and I thought it was really cute and I wanted to recreate it. So I'm just starting off by taking this reflective glitter from Varnell and applying one coat of that to all of the nails, and then I do cure it for 60 seconds. And I can't remember if they put like a glitter base down first or not, but I don't know, I just thought it would be cute and add a little more sparkle to the nail, just to add a little bit of glitter on like the bottom layer. Now I'm taking this silver cat eye from Nails by Dev called Mirror Mirror and just doing one layer of that, and then I use my cylinder magnet to kind of do like that. I don't really know what the design is called. I call it like the spotlight design because it kind of looks like a spotlight once you do it. It's just where you create like the circle in the middle, and then like when you move the nail around it does kind of move around like it's a spotlight or something. So I just do that. I bring up all of the magnet pieces and then I go around and create that like circle effect, so it's all like kind of focused in a circle in the middle of the nail. And then I do flash cure each nail in between doing the nails, and then once I get all of the nails done I do cure for a full 60 seconds. Now I'm taking these jelly colors from Nails by Dev. I'm using Instant Messenger, Wicked, Talk to the Hand, and Totally Buggin'. And I'm going to mix them in with some base coat. You can use top coat if you want. I'm just using base coat because I have a ton of these base coats because I used to buy this off of Amazon all the time. This used to be my favorite top coat to use. It still is one of my favorite top coats, one of my more affordable top coats. But it does come in a like bundle package of the base coat and the top coat. You can also get a bundle package of the base coat, shiny top coat, and matte top coat. I don't like the matte top coat from this brand, but anyhow, like I said, I used to buy this brand all the time, so I have a ton of extra base coats still left that I haven't used. So whenever I am mixing up colors into a clear, or if I'm using like color changing pigments or glow in the dark pigments, I'll mix it in with a base coat just because I have a bunch of them. But like I said, you can use a top coat if you prefer. But anyhow, I'm just mixing those jelly colors into the base coat to sheer them out a little more. They are super pigmented, especially the pink, blue, and yellow. Like, they're super pigmented and like really bright, and I did want them to be a little bit more pastelish or like not have as much color to them when I applied them to the nail. This purple one, however, I really didn't need to mix it in. As you can see, when I am mixing it into the clear, like, it basically just looks clear. And I did add in quite a bit of the purple even after getting it mixed up. After I applied it onto one nail, I realized it still wasn't, like, the purple wasn't showing up as much as I wanted it to, so I did end up adding even more purple into the clear. So with that purple, I should have just left it alone and used the purple straight out of the bottle. But in the moment, like, I didn't really realize or like know it was going to be that light. But for the rest of the colors, it really helped to dilute them and make them a little more sheer. As you can see, when I first put that blue in, like, it is super dark and like it does look super bright. It still looks super dark and bright here after I mix it onto the mixing palette here, but then once I get it on the nails, like, you can see it is super sheer and like thinned out, so there's not as much blue pigment in there. And if you do this design, you obviously don't have to mix the jelly colors into clear to dilute them at all if you don't want to, but that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want them to be like super bright. I did want them to have more of a softer look to it, because when I saw it on Instagram, like I said, it was either Vetsierva or Nail, and I can't remember which one it was. I didn't save the video either, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm too lazy to go look it up real quick right now. But theirs was also kind of like a lighter, kind of softer look to it. I think it would still look really good if you didn't lighten up the jelly colors and just left them super pigmented and super bright. But like I said, that just wasn't the kind of look that I was going for when doing this set. After getting those mixed up, I'm just taking this brush. I think it's called the filler brush from Nails by Dev. It's kind of like a liner brush, just like really thick bristles instead of being super thin. It is used for filling in larger spaces, like if you're doing character art or something, or, you know, in this case where I'm just applying like blobs of color to the nail. So I am just applying these colors randomly, just blobbing them on there. And then when I do like add the other colors on, I do try to blend them a little bit so it's not such a harsh line between the two different colors, which is really great with jelly colors because they do blend together super easily and super nicely, so you don't really have to do a whole lot of work there. Whereas if you were using, you know, opaque colors, you would have to put in a little more work to blend them in. But with the jelly colors, I just kind of smushed them together a little bit and it was good enough. And when you see I do the purple, like I really have to kind of glob it on a little bit. The purple did have to go on in a little bit of a thicker layer because of how sheer it was when going on to the nail in order to get that purple pigment on. And like I said, I did end up going in and mixing in more purple into it, but it was still super, super sheer, and the purple just was not showing up very much. So like I said, with that purple, I wouldn't recommend mixing it in with the clear unless this is like what you're going for. Like you want a really super sheer purple like that, but that really wasn't what I was going for. I did want there to be a bit more of the purple that you could see on the nail, but it's all right. It still ended up working well in the end, and it still looks really good in the end. But like I said, I just blobbed these on, kind of blend them together a little bit, and I went through and did this on all of the nails. They all kind of look a little different because I didn't like put the colors on in the same order or in the same like pattern or anything. Just kind of making each nail be its own kind of individual little design. And then once I got all of these colors on all of the nails, I did cure for a full 60 seconds, and I did only do one coat of all the jelly colors on top because like I said, I didn't want a lot of pigment from these jelly colors. I did want them to remain pretty soft and subtle. I could have done a second layer on the purple to get to show up a little bit more, but then I felt like that would leave the nail a little uneven because there would be a second layer on the purple, which would raise it up a little bit over all the other colors, and then there would only be that one layer of the other colors, and I really didn't want to do that. Like, it wouldn't have been too much of a difference, and it wouldn't have been super raised up because these are super thin layers, but I still just didn't want to have even just a slight little difference between the layers. So I did just leave it how it was with the one layer. after that, I'm just going to use these like hollow sequin pieces. I'm using like the 4-pointed star or like the sparkle or whatever you want to call it. And I'm just going to apply it with the base coat. So I'm just taking the base coat and applying it onto the nail, kind of where I want that little sequin piece to be. And then I just pick up that sequin piece with the tweezers, place it down, and then that little silver thing up there at the top of the screen, that is a gooseneck lamp that I have. It's from LGN Pro. I love this lamp. It makes like doing stuff like this super easy. Also applying my nail tips super easy. But anyhow, I turn that on and then I take my stamper and press down on that little sequin piece because they do stick up off the nail and I wanted them to lay flat. So I use the stamper to press it down to cure it flat onto the nail. I just held it there for a few seconds to flash cure it, and then I did apply another little sparkle sequin to the nail. I think on the rest of them I did like them at the same time because I realized that the stamper covered up the entire nail. But I just held it on there for a few seconds to cure down to like flash cure those little sequins on, and then after I got all the sequins on, I did go ahead and do a full 60-second cure in my full-size lamp to make sure that everything was completely cured. And then here you can see on some of the edges on the nails, like when I pressed down with the stamper, the base coat kind of oozed out and like cured off the side of the nail. So I'm just going through real quick and filing those little pieces off. That way there's not like, oh yeah, one of the sequins popped off as I was filing. I don't even know how that happened because it was on the complete opposite side, but I ended up just leaving it like that because I didn't want to try and glue down another little star on there, and I was like, it looks fine with just one. So I'm just filing off the edges of that base coat on any of the nails that it's like that. And now I'm taking my shiny top coat from LGN and applying that to all of the nails. And then once I get that applied, I do go ahead and cure for 60 seconds. If you wanted to, you could like encapsulate the nails just to make sure that the sequins are really secured on and they're not going to pop off. Some of the edges of the sequins didn't fully get smushed down, so they are a little stuck up. I would recommend encapsulating just to make sure that they don't get caught and like peel off. But because I was doing these on press-ons, I do kind of hate encapsulating on press-on nails. I think I mentioned that in like the milk bath nails and the opal nails maybe, that I'm not really a huge fan of like doing encapsulated designs on press-ons. But anyhow, I would recommend encapsulating them with like builder gel, or you could even do like a thicker layer of top coat, or even double top coating. Like I will double top coat usually when I put stickers on, like if I put the stickers on top instead of encapsulating, which I usually, if I know I'm going to be using stickers, I will like do encapsulate them instead of putting them on top. But a double top coating would help to make sure that they are fully sealed in, and hopefully help if any of them are still, like the edges are still a little stuck up off of the nail. And this is the finished result. I think this set is super pretty. I love how soft the colors are, which is kind of unusual for me because I really like big, bold, bright colors. I'm not really a huge fan of like soft pastel type of colors, but I do really love how this set looks with the soft pastel colors. It just gives it kind of like a fantasy type of feel to it, or like a whimsical type of feel. I don't know, I just think it's really pretty. The pink and the purple are both a little hard to see, especially the purple. Like it honestly kind of doesn't look like I added anything in the spots where the purple is. So that again, I mentioned earlier, you know, I probably shouldn't have mixed that in with the clear because it already was a pretty light jelly purple anyways. I could have added a little bit more of the pink into the clear, but I feel like it would have been too much still and would have been too bright. So that's why I didn't add more pink. And you can see it more here under the flash, I feel like. You can also see the colors a lot better in person. But they're so pretty, and I love how they look under the flash, because then here you can see the reflective glitters, and then the Cateye really shines through as well. And I really like how they look under the flash. And then also outside, my outside shots look like how they look in real life, or like in person. So if you were to see these nails in person, this is what you would see, versus like under my filming lights. They kind of look a little off, and sometimes the colors don't look exact how they should look. But whenever I do these outside shots, they do always end up looking how they look in person. So this is what they look like in person. You can definitely see the colors a lot more. Like I said, they do show up a lot better, and they're just super pretty. I don't really know what else to say about this set other than they're super pretty and I love the soft colors of them. Like I said, I really love how they look here under the flash. Like, I think this is when they look the best under the flash, because you can see all the sparkle from the reflective glitter and then the shine from the cat eye. But that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.